The strongest copy of Dragon Ball. Chapter 21. Boom. Vegeta's body was directly sent flying by the terrifying impact force, and smashed heavily on a boulder 10 feet away. A hole the size of a thumb appeared directly in the mouth, and bright red blood kept coming out of the wound. No. Impossible. Vegeta's pupils were constantly constricting, and fear, horror, and despair surged crazily in his eyes. How could he be defeated by Frieza when his strength had obviously improved so much? This should not be the result. Although he couldn't believe it 10,000 times in his heart, he had to believe that Frieza was really too strong. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't defeat him. And now, maybe I will die soon, and stay on this planet forever. Unwilling, deep unwillingness. I have not regained the glory of Saiyan, and I have not killed Frieza to avenge all Saiyans killed by Frieza. How could I just die like this? It's just that the gradually disappearing consciousness made Vegeta unable to think about it anymore. Ho 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 ho. Vegeta, I'll send you to hell to accompany your stupid father. The moment Frieza's cold laughter fell, a purple energy ball appeared again on his fingertips, and it directly blasted towards Vegeta. This time, he wanted to make Vegeta completely dead, and let him know what a stupid choice it was to go against him. Brush. And at the moment when Frieza's energy ball was released from his hand, there was a slight sound of breaking through the air. Then a figure suddenly appeared in front of Vegeta, and slapped Frieza's purple energy ball away. Rumbling. When the energy ball hit a high mountain, it exploded directly. The gravel fell one by one, showing its terrifying power. Forgiveness and forgiveness, Frieza. A faint voice sounded. Lin Yan slowly raised his head and looked at Frieza. Fortunately, I rushed over at the fastest speed after I felt Vegeta's breath just now. Otherwise Vegeta is cool now. What, Saiyan? The moment Frieza saw Lin Yan, he noticed the flexible tail behind him. A look of surprise flashed in his eyes. Unexpectedly, apart from Vegeta and his two men, there is actually Saiyan living in this world. It seems that what I did 10 years ago was not thorough enough. Suddenly so many wild monkeys popped out. Who are you? You're not stupid enough to fight me, Frieza. But after a moment of surprise, Frieza said with a sneer. No matter how many such wild monkeys come, they cannot be their opponents. If you want to kill them, it's just a snap of your fingers. As you can see, a Saiyan. Lin Yan shrugged and continued. Oh yes, please remember my name, Lin Yan. Because of this name, you may remember it forever. Looking at Lin Yan's calm expression and listening to his arrogant tone, Frieza also knew that this guy must also be looking for his own bad luck. Hey, stupid Saiyan, always so pretentious, can't see how weak he is, just because you want me to remember him forever, he is even more arrogant than Vegeta. Frieza ridiculed Lin Yan again with his trademark magic laugh. In his opinion, Saiyan is just a group of arrogant and mindless wild monkeys. Try it. Lin Yan raised the corner of his mouth and smiled, his body burst out like lightning in an instant. The speed was so fast that it almost left an afterimage on the spot. What? Seeing Lin Yan who made a sudden move without saying a word, Frieza uttered in horror. Lin Yan's speed was so fast that even Frieza only saw a black figure grazing towards him. And Vegeta, not at the same level at all. Boom. The next moment, Frieza's body flew upside down, directly smashed the ground into a deep hole, and then bounced out of the ground for a distance of tens of feet before stopping. Pooh! Frieza spit out a mouthful of saliva mixed with Purple's blood, and the next second, the pupils of that bloody red were as cold as ice. It's been a long time, no one has dared to be so presumptuous. A mere Saiyan, a wild monkey allowed himself to suffer this kind of humiliation, it really is full of anger that can't help but burn. Frieza stood up slowly. Wild monkey, I will never let you go. Roaring almost insanely, Frieza touched the ground with her toes, and her body directly slid towards Lin Yan. In his opinion, that wild monkey was just a little faster at best, and the sneak attack made him suffer just now. This time, I must teach him a good lesson. Boom. The next moment, a low crash sounded. What? Frieza's horrified voice sounded again. Because at this moment, his fist was tightly held by Lin Yan, and his attack just now had no effect on Lin Yan at all. Like a rock, it didn't move at all. You're too weak, Frieza. At the same time Lin Yan's faint voice fell, his right leg swept out like lightning and kicked Frieza directly in the chest. Frieza's body flew upside down again. This form of Frieza has a fighting power of only 530,000, while his normal fighting power has reached 5 million. If Frieza didn't become the ultimate form, if he used 50% of his power, it would be impossible for him to be his opponent. Boom! Frieza fell heavily to the ground again, then got up quickly. This time, the resentment in his eyes was as raging as a flood, as if he wanted to tear Lin Yan to pieces immediately. Wild monkey, you are really good at pissing me off. But next, I will make you feel the fear from hell. Frieza's entire face was twitching from extreme anger. Glaring at Lin Yan, the words popped out from between his teeth. As a genius of the frozen demon family, he has always been the one who controls the life and death of others. When did he suffer such humiliation? Moreover, it is still Saiyan whom I look down on the most. This is a great shame for him. Only with the blood of the two wild monkeys in front of him can the endless anger be eliminated. Ah 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 ah! The next moment, a sharp and piercing roar came from Frieza's mouth. Obviously he is ready to transform. Although he really didn't want to admit it, he also knew that the fighting power of the wild monkey in front of him had far surpassed his own. If it was an accident or a sneak attack that he knocked himself away once, then 2 times would be enough to prove it. So if I don't make a second transformation, I really can't deal with that nasty wild monkey. But at this time, waves of air swept in all directions like blades. The whole ground began to tremble, shake violently, and Frieza's body was also covered with a layer of purple light, and at the same time purple and red lightning flashed, and the size of the whole person more than doubled. Whoosh whoosh. And at this moment, a few small voices suddenly came to mind. Immediately afterwards, the figures of Son Gohan, Keelan and Dende appeared beside Lin Yan. What are you two doing here? Didn't I tell you to protect Bulma? Lin Yan turned back, looked at the two and asked coldly. Don't think that I have the upper hand now, but after a while Frieza becomes the ultimate form and uses 100% power, then this battle is completely beyond my control. At that time, it may affect them, and the terrifying impact may cause them to lose their lives. Gohan said he wanted to bring Piccolo back to life quickly, so. Keelan spoke with some guilt. In fact, he had persuaded Gohan before that now is not the best time to summon Shenron. But Son Gohan is very persistent and wants to come here now. If you can't beat him, you can only follow him. Mr. Lin Yan, don't worry, Bulma is protected by Neil Big Brother, so it's safe. At this time Dende also speaks for Son Gohan in a childish voice. This is the end of the matter, and it is useless to blame them now. Dragon Ball should be in the spaceship, hurry to find it, I'll hold Frieza. Lin Yan said to Klin. There are also considerable benefits to bringing Piccolo back to life. Because I can temporarily copy his regeneration ability for my own use, as for later, I can copy Majin Buu's infinite regeneration or Zamasu's immortal body. After the three heard Lin Yan's words, they looked at Frieza who was transforming in horror, and then rushed into the universe spaceship in a panic. At this time, Frieza's transformation has also been completed. At this time, Frieza was more than twice as big as before, and his appearance was almost exactly the same as his father Kurd. The two sharp horns facing the sky are in a curved shape, exuding a gloomy and cold light. Frieza naturally also noticed the thoughts of the three of Keelan, and wanted to intercept the three of them with a flash of his body. I have worked so hard to find the Dragon Ball for so long, and finally got it together, and I have all the elites under Ginyu Special Forces, Sabo, and Dodoria. If he just made a wedding dress for someone else in the end, that would be absolutely unbearable for him. Brush. Almost at the same time, Lin Yan's body burst out, appearing in front of Frieza almost instantly. Your opponent is me, Frieza. Lin Yan stood in front of Frieza and said coldly. It seems Frieza this guy is also quite arrogant. After experiencing his own strength, he turned into a second form. With a combat power of 1 million, he is still not his opponent. Cut, wild monkey, die for me. Lin Yan's repeated provocations made Frieza explode instantly, and slapped Lin Yan. A purple energy ball blasted directly at Lin Yan. Boom. The next moment, Lin Yan's position exploded, and Frieza's body circled a strange arc and rushed towards the universe spaceship. It's okay for that wild monkey to clean him up later, but the three little ghosts must not let the Dragon Ball be taken away. Otherwise, all my previous work would have been in vain. I said, your opponent is me, you can't go anywhere without defeating me. Suddenly Lin Yan's body appeared in front of Frieza again, blocking Frieza's way. Good. So fast. Frieza looked at Lin Yan in surprise at this moment, and murmured in a low voice. After becoming the second form, not only has the size increased, but the strength and speed have also doubled. Unexpectedly, even so, there is still no way to beat that wild monkey in terms of speed. Then, I can only kill him, and then kill the three little devils. Thinking of this, Frieza touched the ground with her toes, the ground instantly cracked, and her body appeared in front of Lin Yan. Launched a stormy attack on Lin Yan. Ya ya ya. The sharp cry was accompanied by fists like a storm. Although Frieza's attack was very fast and fierce, it did not cause any damage to Lin Yan at all. Almost all of them were easily dodged. Wild monkey. Hundreds of punches were thrown out, but they didn't touch Lin Yan's clothes at all, which made Frieza a little unbearable, so he let out an angry roar. Roll. Seeing Frieza's chaotic attack, Lin Yan directly seized the opportunity and punched Frieza in the face again. Boom. Frieza's body flew out immediately and hit the ground heavily. And Lin Yan is actually very entangled in his heart now. In fact, if Frieza uses all his cards and surprises him, he should be able to kill Frieza. It's just that if this happens, the plan to use Frieza's strength to challenge the limit and become Super Saiyan will be ruined. Wild monkey, absolutely cannot forgive. Just when Lin Yan was still hesitating, Frieza's resentful roar sounded again. His eyes were already bloodshot, showing that he was extremely angry. Ah! Then a shrill scream came out of Frieza's mouth. In an instant, waves of terrifying aura spread out in all directions with Frieza as the center. I saw that the ground under Frieza's feet began to crack and collapse. Lin Yan could clearly feel that Frieza's aura had exploded exponentially at this moment. Is it finally going to become the ultimate form? Frieza. Lin Yan pursed his lips. In that case, let's see how powerful Frieza in the ultimate form is. At this time, Kling and Son Gohan have found the 7 Dragon Balls hidden in the Universe spacecraft. They took it out, and when they felt Frieza's terrifying aura, the bodies of the 3 trembled with extreme fear. What are you 3 doing? Why don't you summon Shenron quickly? Seeing the terrified eyes of the 3 of Frieza, Lin Yan scolded coldly. If Frieza becomes the ultimate form after a while and exerts 100% power, the development of the situation will be beyond his control. Yes. Klin nodded quickly, then jumped 100 feet away, and put the Dragon Ball down. Den began to say some Namek spells to summon Shenron to the Dragon Ball, and at the same time that Den was chanting, a layer of gold halo appeared on the 7 Dragon Balls, shining. At this moment, Frieza's body had completely disappeared into the billowing smoke. But Lin Yan could feel that powerful aura, indicating that Frieza had become the ultimate form. A group of ants turned me into the ultimate form, and then, you can enjoy this feast of fear. A bone-chilling voice came from the thick smoke. Creak creak. The sound of crisp footsteps approached a little bit. Whoosh. Then, at the same time as the slight sound of piercing through the air, a figure flashed out and shot at Lin Yan like an arrow from the string. Almost instantly, he appeared in front of Lin Yan. The speed is completely unmatched by the second transformation. Lin Yan crossed his arms and stood in front of Shang. Boom. A low, muffled sound came out, and Lin Yan felt an unparalleled terrifying force coming from his arms. His feet brushed against the ground and he retreated, his body backed out uncontrollably. There are 2 shocking deep ravines left on the ground. That guy actually directly used 50% of the power of the ultimate form. Lin Yan dropped his arm and said in a low tone. The ultimate form of Frieza, the combat power is only around 3 million. But Frieza's punch just now is absolutely impossible for a combat power of 3 million to strike. Brush. After knocking Lin Yan away with a punch, Frieza obviously didn't want to get entangled with Lin Yan now, and flew towards Keelan and the others with a flash of his body. The speed was so fast that even Lin Yan only saw an afterimage of purple. When Keelan and Son Gohan felt Frieza's breath, they backed away in horror and almost sat down on the ground. Kaioken. 10 times. A roar came from his throat, and a red flame of energy instantly appeared around Lin Yan. At the same time as the energy arrogance appeared, the body disappeared in a flash. Chi Yuan slash. Immediately afterwards, two Qi Yuan slashes condensed in the palm, and slashed towards Frieza. Frieza also seemed to feel that the two Qi Yuan slashes were not simple, but the speed slowed down a little. Lin Yan seized the opportunity and flew directly in front of Frieza. I told you, you're up against me, Frieza. Lin Yan looked at Frieza with indifferent eyes, and said lightly. At this time, Frieza's figure is even smaller, and she doesn't look as scary as the previous two forms. But Lin Yan could feel that this petite body contained the power to destroy the world. Certainly, arrogant wild monkey, you should be less complacent. Frieza glared at Lin Yan, and said through gritted teeth. He never thought that a mere Saiyan would dare to be so presumptuous in front of him. Get carried away. Maybe. Lin Yan shook his fist, feeling the terrifying power, and said with a slight smile. At this time, I have used Kaioken 10 times, and the combat power should have reached 55 million, while Frieza's 50% combat power in the final form has reached 60 million. The next battle may be quite tricky. But the more you do this, the more you can stimulate your potential, maybe you can break through your limit and become Super Saiyan. Unpleasant wild monkey, take your life. Frieza let out a sharp roar, and his body instantly turned into a stream of light, rushing towards Lin Yan. Lin Yan also didn't give up much, and at this moment, he also used his speed to the limit. Bang bang bang. In an instant, muffled hums sounded, and rings of explosions spread in the air. Deep pits appeared one after another on the ground. Keelan and Son Gohan watched the battle in front of them dumbly, which was completely beyond their comprehension. At this time, the bodies of Lin Yan and Frieza could not be seen at all, and they could only feel the powerful impact force sweeping towards them. Come out, Shenron, Namek. As Den's voice fell, the gold light in the 7 Dragon Balls instantly condensed together and soared into the sky. A meandering gold lightning formed, and in the next second, the entire sky instantly turned from day to darkness, like the end of the world, only the gold lightning could be seen. Then, that gold lightning turned into a green dragon. It's just that the giant dragon that appeared in front of them didn't look like a dragon, but more like a huge green toad. Is this Shenron of Namek? Keelan looked up at Shenron in astonishment, and said inconceivably. It is bigger than the Shenron of the earth, and its appearance has also undergone a greater change. Humans who summoned me, tell your wishes. There are only 3, and I can fulfill any wish. Namek language. Shenron Palenga looked down at the crowd, and said lightly. Gohan, Kling, what wish do you wish for? Dend looked at Keelan and Son Gohan and asked. Dend, resurrect a Namek on Earth called Piccolo. Without any hesitation, Son Gohan spoke directly to Dend. He has been waiting for this moment for a long time. Aha! Dend nodded, and once again spoke to Shenron Palenga in a Namek language that Kling and Son Gohan could not understand. This is very simple. Shenron Palenga nodded, and said in a calm tone. Beep. I saw a red light flickering in Shenron Palenga's eyes. Okay, your first wish has been fulfilled. The Namek named Piccolo has been resurrected. Tell us your second wish. Palenga spoke again. At this time, Piccolo, who was practicing on the planet King Kai, suddenly had the halo above his head disappear. Gohan, Kling, the second wish transfers me to Namek. After Piccolo was resurrected, he spoke directly to Son Gohan and Keelan through King Kai's superpower. He also wanted to try how capable Frieza, who even King Kai was afraid of, was. Yeah, I got Piccolo uncle. Hearing that extremely familiar voice, Son Goku nodded excitedly. Then told Den the second wish. At this time, Frieza's face was extremely ugly. He didn't expect that the Dragon Ball that he spent so long to collect would be taken advantage of by these ants. I absolutely can't let them go like this. After thinking about it, a purple energy beam appeared directly on Frieza's fingertips, and shot toward Dend and Kling. Cut. Lin Yan frowned. Frieza's attack speed was extremely fast, it was beyond the reach of Kling and Son Gohan. After thinking about it, his body flashed, and he appeared directly in front of the purple energy beam, and flew out with a slap. Hey, you've been fooled, wild monkey. At this time, Frieza suddenly smiled triumphantly, and his body flashed directly towards Keelan and others. Although Lin Yan's speed is very fast, it is obviously impossible to intercept Frieza now. Frieza appeared in front of Keelan and Son Gohan in an instant, and kicked the 3 of them flying with a sweep. Let me live forever. After kicking the 3 of them away, Frieza yelled at Palenga excitedly. But what Frieza didn't expect was that Shenron Balenga seemed to have not heard his words, and Frieza had no chance at all. Retarded, Lin Yan said disdainfully, because he knew very well that Shenron of Namek had to make a wish in the Namek language before he could cast it, otherwise how could he have made him appear in front of Balunga so easily to make a wish? Please transfer Piccolo to this Namek. Namek. At this time, Dend in the distance stood up a little staggeringly, and said to Palenga. Understood. Hearing what Dend said, Palenga spoke again. Then a red light flashed in his eyes again. Your second wish has also been fulfilled, let's say your third wish. At this time, Palenga spoke hastily. But, hateful little bug. How dare you challenge my bottom line again and again, go to hell. A gloomy roar came out of Frieza's mouth, and then a purple energy ball the size of a basketball was squeezed out of the palm of his right hand, and he threw it towards Dend, Kling and the others. Frieza, the majestic universe emperor, was being teased by these tiny ants time and time again, which made him completely angry. These few people are absolutely unforgivable, and they must be made to pay the price in blood. Looking at Frieza's attack, Lin Yan frowned tightly. Even he could feel the terrifying aura in that energy ball, that guy Keelan absolutely couldn't avoid it. If it is really hit, it will definitely end up in an explosion and death. What a burden. Lin Yan gritted his teeth. If these guys don't show up, he can have a good fight with Frieza. But now it has become his own trouble. At that moment, Lin Yan flashed the idea of not caring about the three of them, anyway, he and them are not related. But when he looked at Keelan and Son Gohan who were full of horror, they couldn't help but soften their hearts. Time pauses. Suddenly, a deep roar roared from the bottom of Lin Yan's heart. Then, within 10 feet of Fang Yuan, all things completely stopped at this moment. Frieza's body was still and didn't understand. Keelan, Son Gohan, and Dend also froze at that moment with their frightened expressions. And that basketball-sized energy ball also stopped in midair. While Lin Yan took advantage of this moment, his body suddenly flashed, and he appeared directly beside Keelan and Son Gohan. He picked up the three of them and threw them out. I said silently in my heart, this is the last time. Using time pause as a very energy-consuming thing, even for him whose combat power has reached 11 million. Call. 3 seconds later, Lin Yan took a deep breath, the ability to pause time disappeared, and everything returned to normal. A low buzz sounded, and Frieza's energy ball directly blasted Kling and Son Gohan where you were just now. Rumbling. The next moment, the entire ground began to tremble violently, and an explosion of energy rose from the ground, forming a circular arc. Huge mushroom clouds soared into the sky. It can be seen how powerful Frieza's energy ball was just now. What's going on? The three of them looked dull, weren't they, at the place where the explosion happened just now? Why did it suddenly appear here? But soon they realized that Lin Yan must have saved them, and there was no one else but him. Especially when they watched Lin Yan panting heavily, they also understood that Lin Yan had consumed a lot of physical energy. Fortunately, Lin Yan rescued them just now, otherwise the three of them would be like that gravel, turned into universe dust. Mr. Lin Yan, thank you, Lin Yan sang. Keelan and Son Gohan spoke gratefully at the same time. After all, Lin Yan has saved them twice. The last time, this is the last time, get out of here, I will never waste my energy to save you next time. Lin Yan yelled angrily in an icy voice. Just now, the pause of time spent too much energy, which put him in a very passive situation. The current situation is very bad. Looking at Lin Yan who was suddenly enraged, the three of them seemed to be frightened, their bodies dodged quickly, and they retreated to a distance. Now that their two wishes have been fulfilled, if they take the risk of staying there again, it will be almost courting death. Wild monkey, it's you again. Frieza clenched her fists tightly, the corners of her mouth trembling wildly. But after a short while, the gloomy rage dissipated slowly, and an evil smile appeared on his face. Although I don't know how you saved the three brats just now, it seems that your physical fitness has been greatly affected. Then, I will do my best to kill you ****** idiots. Frieza really didn't know how Lin Yan saved those three little devils in such a short time, but it was obvious that he had expended a lot of energy. This approach is completely picking up the sesame seeds and losing the watermelon. And now I don't want to entangle with them anymore, I will use 100% of my power to kill them completely. Next, it's a delightful hell feast, prepare to bear my wrath. Saiyan, woohoo. Frieza let out a high-pitched laugh that was as creepy as a devil. Then the body slowly floated into the air. Ah ah ah. There were sharp screams after that, and purple lightning bolts appeared beside Frieza. Terrifying waves of air instantly swept across the audience, and the dust spread like waves in circles. Is that guy finally going all out? Lin Yan looked at Frieza with deep eyes, and said in a low tone. He could feel Frieza's breath rising again, like a bottomless pit. It seems that he intends to use 100% of his strength to completely defeat himself. I consumed too much physical energy just now, I don't know if my current body can withstand 20 times Kaioken. Lin Yan frowned, thinking about it. If it was before, he would definitely be sure to cast Kaioken 20 times, but now, he is not too sure. That's so scary. As for Keelan and the others in the distance, feeling the terrifying aura, their expressions were extremely flustered and terrified. At this time, Frieza's aura has doubled compared to before. Although Lin Yan had told them before that Frieza's actual combat strength was 120 million, feeling that aura personally and hearing it from Lin Yan were completely different concepts. It almost made them feel hopeless. Can Lin Yan uncle beat Frieza? Son Gohan frowned tightly, and said to himself. He could naturally feel that Frieza's aura was so powerful that it was simply unparalleled. This kind of aura was beyond their imagination. And Lin Yan also said before that Frieza's combat power reached 120 million, while his combat power was only 5 million. In fact, he already had the answer in his heart, but he just didn't want to accept it. No. Impossible, he can't win at all. Keelan's expression was very ugly, he shook his head in a daze and said. Lin Yan's aura at this time was not at the same level as Frieza's, and he had consumed a lot of energy just now because he saved the three of them, and his aura became disordered. It's impossible to beat Frieza like this. It's even possible to get killed by Frieza. Dend, please heal Vegeta. Immediately, Krillin turned his head and spoke to Dend. The current situation is very unfavorable to them, so they can only put all their eggs in one basket. He knew very well that it was impossible for that guy Vegeta to become better just because he saved him, but now they needed Vegeta's fighting power. After all, mosquito legs are also meat. Vegeta and Frieza are already mortal enemies, and the enemy of an enemy is a friend. As long as Frieza can be defeated together, it will be relatively easier to deal with Vegeta later. No, he killed a lot of Namek balls, I'm not going to save him. Den shook his hands. His head shook like a rattle, his body kept moving back, with anger and panic on his face. In any case, he will not save the Saiyan who killed his compatriots. I can't say anything. Dend, listen to me, if you don't save Vegeta, maybe more Namek people will be killed, and even the whole Namek will be destroyed. Do you want to see this ending? Keelan said very seriously. He's not making a fuss out of thin air, and that's the way it is, once Frieza can't get his wish. In his rage he would surely kill everyone, even destroy Namek. Cruel Frieza, absolutely do something like this. Dend. Son Gohan also turned his pleading eyes to Dend. After hearing Keelan's words, Dend clearly showed a struggling expression. On the one hand, he really didn't want to rescue the demon who killed so many of his compatriots. On the other hand, he also doesn't want more compatriots to sacrifice because he didn't save Vegeta. Tangled, torn like tangled. Dend, there will be no time in a moment. Both Keelan and Son Gohan urged. If Lin Yan is defeated, even if Vegeta is cured, it will be useless. After hesitating for dozens of seconds, Dend finally nodded reluctantly amidst a struggling expression. Then Keelan quietly appeared beside Vegeta and brought Vegeta over. Fortunately, there is still one breath left. Then Dend pointed his palms at Vegeta, and wisps of light red energy injected into Vegeta's body. The thumb-sized hole in Shanko gradually healed. Then, Vegeta frowned, and then opened his eyes. TCH, what's going on? Am I not dead? This was Vegeta's first thought upon waking up. He was pierced through the mouth by Frieza's attack just now, so it is impossible to survive. Then he turned his gaze and saw Keelan and Son Gohan. Great, Vegeta, did not die, and the power in my body has increased so much. Feeling the terrifying power in his body, Vegeta said excitedly. It seems that every time Saiyan is brought back from the brink of death, his fighting power will skyrocket. Are you okay, Vegeta? Keelan looked at the awakened Vegeta and asked. Kling's voice pulled Vegeta back from his thoughts. Go away, I'm going to find Frieza now. Before Vegeta finished speaking, there was a huge change in an instant. The voice stopped abruptly, and the waves in his heart were churning. What is this? Is this really Frieza's anger? Just now Vegeta was completely immersed in the joy of his resurrection and power improvement. Only at this time did he feel the unimaginably strong aura, and he knew that it belonged to Frieza. But that idiot, the aura before was obviously not so exaggerated. Later, when Vegeta's family looked at Frieza and Lin Yan, their brows frowned even deeper. Because it wasn't until Frieza's aura rose to an almost incomprehensible intensity, even that lowly Saiyan's aura was far surpassing him at this moment, it was astonishingly high. But, I am Prince Saiyan, these hateful fools have surpassed me one by one, and take me for someone. Vegeta's fingertips dug deeply into the flesh, and the blood dripped down the fist to the ground. Compared with the pain in the palm, what made Vegeta feel the pain more was the feeling that his most important dignity was trampled upon. But when everyone didn't pay attention, Shenron directly turned into 7 streamers and shot them in different directions. Cuckoo! A strange sound came from Frieza's body. At this moment, Frieza's body suddenly began to swell, and his muscles more than doubled in size. Waves of purple arrogance swirled around his body, and Frieza's aura was finally released at this moment. Rustle. Then, streaks of red-hot lightning fell from the sky, shattering the earth in an instant, the mountain collapsed in an instant, and the lake rolled. The terrifying aura formed ripple-like waves, hitting the face in circles. Lin Yan covered his face with his arms, and his face was very ugly. Frowning and thinking, is this the 100% power of Frieza's ultimate form? It really is amazing. Compared with Lin Yan, the horror and fear of Keelan and others have reached an incomparable level. Looking at the collapsed mountains, the crazy and turbulent tide, and the purple thunder and lightning falling from the sky, it seems like a scene of the end of the world. It's over, we're really going to die here this time. Keelan looked at the apocalyptic scene in front of him in a daze, and murmured. The strength of Frieza, even if Piccolo is resurrected and Vegeta is cured, even if all of them work together, it is impossible to win. No chance at all. Kling uncle. Son Gohan glanced at Keelan, whose face was full of panic and despair, and was also terribly afraid in his heart. Frieza, that idiot has such terrifying power. Vegeta clenched his fists tightly, staring at Frieza in midair. Thankfully he challenged Frieza ignorantly before, fortunately he didn't try his best. Otherwise, he might be able to strangle himself to death with just one finger, although he really doesn't want to admit it. If this continues, I will definitely die here together with that group of lifeless things. My son-in-law, King Vegeta, must not just die like this. Vegeta gritted his teeth and thought, if the Green Hills are left, there will be no firewood. As long as I save my life today, one day I will be able to become a Super Saiyan, and then I will find Frieza to wash away the shame. After thinking about it, without any hesitation, he flashed his body and flew out at the fastest speed in the opposite direction of Frieza. Oh, want to run Vegeta, you are so naive. Frieza looked at Vegeta's rapidly disappearing vest, and at the same time as the devilish laughter fell, the body disappeared in the original place in an instant. Then Lin Yan and the others heard a muffled sound, and Vegeta's body flew upside down in a diagonal line, directly smashing into the lake. The hellish feast of fear has not yet begun, how can you go? Vegeta. Frieza's body appeared on the lake, and said coldly. He knew it was impossible to kill Vegeta with his attack just now, because he controlled the power. Vegeta, and the 3 brats must die in extreme fear and despair. Watching hope disappear little by little. That kind of scene, just thinking about it, can make people feel the excitement of dancing. And his hope should be the Saiyan in front of him. As long as he is killed, Vegeta and the 3 little ghosts will fall into extreme fear and despair, and that is what he likes to see the most. So, what I have to do now is to kill that disgusting wild monkey in front of me bit by bit. Burst. Call. And at this time, Vegeta's body shot out of the lake, panting heavily. Obviously, although Frieza's attack just now didn't kill him, it wasn't too pleasant either. Frieza walked towards Lin Yan step by step. The corners of his mouth showed a devilish evil curve, coupled with the purple-black lip color, he looked even more creepy. Are you ready to face the fear of death? Saiyan. When he walked all the way in front of Lin Yan, Frieza narrowed his eyes slightly, and said to Lin Yan with a murderous look in his pride. Do you really think you've got a winning ticket, Frieza? Lin Yan raised his mouth and asked Frieza with a sneer. At this time, he no longer cared about whether his body could hold it, he had to use 20 times Kaioken. Only in this way can we be able to compete with Frieza, otherwise, Kaioken's 55 million fighting power, which is 10 times that of Kaioken, cannot resist Frieza's 120 million fighting power at all. Hey, do you still have to resist desperately at this time? Hearing Lin Yan's words, Frieza didn't care at all and laughed. Saiyan, a group of stinky monkeys, are arrogant, like to get carried away, always can't see their own position, thinking that they are really a fighting nation. And this naive and funny self-feeling is an important reason why they disappeared in the long river of history. The moment the words fell, Frieza's body flashed out instantly. He wanted to show this stinky monkey how vulnerable the Saiyans were in front of his Frieza. Seeing the moment Frieza flashed out, Lin Yan showed a violent look on his face. Then, fight, 20 times, Kaioken. A deep voice came out of Lin Yan's mouth, and the next moment, a red flame of energy surged up all over his body. The halo of red also reflected on Black's hair, standing up high. Lin Yan could clearly hear that after casting Kaioken 20 times, there were muffled creaking sounds from all parts of his body. Then he ignored the piercing pain, clenched his fists, and directly met Frieza's fist. Boom! In the next second, the entire ground collapsed instantly, and thick smoke swept in all directions like a wave, mixed with a terrifying air wave. Let the whole scene look even more shocking, turbulent. Krillin, Vegeta and the others retreated subconsciously, not wanting to be involved by that terrifying shock wave. And in the very middle of the smoke, the thick smoke was blown away, and the bodies of Frieza and Lin Yan clearly appeared in the middle. At this time, both of them were almost exhausted, and it was obvious that Lin Yan seemed to be struggling a little more. The blue veins on both arms squirmed like little snakes, his forehead was covered with sweat, and his face was congested with blood, showing his strength to the extreme. And at this moment, a small line of blue suddenly appeared in front of Lin Yan's eyes. Discover duplicable skills. Universe survivability, Death Ray. Duplicate. Lin Yan was surprised, but at the same time he was overjoyed. He didn't expect that his hidden system could also replicate the ability to survive in Frieza's universe. Copy. Without any hesitation at the moment, he said to the system. The ability of the universe to survive may seem useless, but if there is no universe spaceship, or if Namek is destroyed in a short battle, then its advantage will be reflected. This is also in Dragon Ball. Why did Frieza want to destroy the Namek ball when he was fighting Son Goku? Because even if Namek is destroyed, he can still survive in the vacuum of the universe, and Saiyan doesn't have this special ability. As for the Death Ray, it is the unique ability of Frieza, Cooler and others, that is, they can shoot energy rays from their eyes, and when fighting with others, it has an unexpected effect. For Lin Yan, this is really a surprise. But when Lin Yan was very excited, Frieza's face was full of horror. He didn't expect the guy in front of him to take his attack again. It is obvious that his fighting power just now cannot exceed his 100% strength. And when Frieza was shocked, Lin Yan narrowed his eyes slightly, and 2 scarlet energy rays shot out from his eyes, pointing directly at Frieza. What? Frieza was shocked. Wasn't it his own death ray that this guy cast just now? How did he know his own skills? But before he had time to think about it, the 2 rays of light burst out. Frieza could only withdraw his strength, retreated his body, and then dodged Lin Yan's attack. But, that guy, how could Kakarot's Kaioken? At this moment, the smoke and dust disappeared little by little, and Vegeta looked at the red arrogance surrounding Lin Yan from a distance. Exactly the same Kaioken cast by Kakarot on Earth. It can instantly increase the speed and strength of a body to a terrifying level. Kakarot used this ability to take the fool and defeated himself. No wonder his aura just now was completely outmatched by Frieza, and he was able to block Frieza's attack the next moment. The more Vegeta thought about it, the more unwilling he became, and the more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable he felt. Obviously, he is the son of King Vegeta with the best potential, the advanced genius warrior. But he was overtaken by the subordinate warrior again and again, which made him very crazy. Lin Yan's strength has improved again, or maybe we don't have to die. Looking at Lin Yan, who blocked Frieza's attack, and Lin Yan, who also launched a counterattack, hope rose in Qilin's eyes again. Lin Yan uncle, he seems to use the Kaioken that Dad learned from King Kai. Son Gohan also looked at the red arrogance around Lin Yan. Said with some uncertainty, the reason why Dad was able to fight Vegeta so hard was because he used Kaioken, and the bonus of Kaioken caused him to seriously injure Vegeta. If not, Dad would not be Vegeta's opponent at all. But how did Lin Yan uncle learn Kaioken? Did he also go to the Supreme Kai planet? Compared to the hope that appeared in the eyes of Qilin and others, Frieza's face was full of resentment. Originally, he thought that with the directness of 100% strength, he would definitely be able to clean up that stinky monkey easily. Unexpectedly, while he was improving, his strength had also been improved. But fortunately, he could see that although the stinky monkey withstood his punch, his physical fitness seemed to have a huge problem, and he couldn't resist the next attack no matter what. The final victory will definitely belong to oneself. Hoo. At this time, Lin Yan's mouth heaved violently, panting heavily. Originally, there was a lot of problems with physical fitness, and now it was even worse. The load brought by Kaioken caused Lin Yan to suffer pain that almost made him faint. Every inch of skin feels like being pricked by needles. Although Frieza couldn't feel Lin Yan's breath, he could see the small movement of Lin Yan's mouth twitching. HMPH, it seems that while the wild monkey gained strength, his body also paid a considerable price. This is really great. Frieza's eyes were gloomy, thinking in her mind. The so-called taking advantage of his illness to kill him, how could Frieza let go of this opportunity? Immediately, with a touch of both feet, the body directly turned into an afterimage and shot towards Lin Yan. It appeared in front of Lin Yan almost instantly. Without any hesitation, he blasted towards Lin Yan's stormy attack. The wind-shaking air rustled, and the shadows of fists whizzed past Lin Yan's body. Every punch almost brushed against Lin Yan's clothes. Facing such a dense attack, Lin Yan could only dodge hastily. Sweat kept rolling down his forehead, and he felt that his physical strength was weakening little by little. Speed and strength are constantly flowing from the body. Boom! The next moment, Frieza's fist landed heavily on Lin Yan's chest. Lin Yan's body immediately flew backwards in a straight line. Rumbling. After smashing two big mountains, he stabilized his body. When his throat was sweet, a smear of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Frieza's punch was so powerful that Lin Yan couldn't bear it. Immediately afterwards, the red arrogance around Lin Yan's body disappeared little by little. It was obvious that the current physical strength could no longer sustain Kaioken 20 times higher. The combat power dropped sharply to its original strength in an instant. But it turned back to normal at this time. Lin Yan sighed secretly in his heart. It was obviously a very scary thing to change back to normal at this time. Because Frieza's combat power of 120 million is completely enough to kill himself in a very short time. That guy, the Kaioken bonus is gone. Vegeta frowned, looked at Lin Yan and muttered. After the battle with Kakarot, he knew very well that once Kaioken's bonus disappears, he will enter a very weak period. There is no way to maintain the original strength at all. If this continues, I'm afraid it will be very dangerous. The life and death of that subordinate Saiyan has nothing to do with him, but the problem is that once he loses, no one can stop Frieza. At that time, the few of them will definitely be killed by Frieza. But Qilin and Son Gohan were even more frightened. Just now I thought there was hope, but now the hope has been lost in an instant, and my mood fell directly from the clouds to hell. That feeling makes them very uncomfortable. After Frieza sent Lin Yan flying with one punch, there was a look of certainty in his eyes. It is impossible for him to lose the next battle. Then the body rose up into the air little by little, looked at Lin Yan below, and gently tapped out with his fingertips. A red light condensed from the fingertips, aiming at Lin Yan. Ho 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 ho, stinky monkey, your time of death has arrived. At the same time as gloomy smug laughter sounded, the energy ball between Frieza shot towards Lin Yan like a machine gun. All the energy balls gathered beside Lin Yan, but they didn't explode. Instead, they wrapped up layer by layer like silkworm chrysalis, forming a huge energy semicircle. After a full minute, the semicircle of energy has piled up like a small mountain. Go to hell, Saiyan. Accompanied by Frieza's sharp roar of excitement, the last energy ball on his fingertips landed on the huge energy ball. Boom! The next moment, there was a loud explosion, and the entire island disappeared instantly, turning into dust. Submerged in Wang Yang, and Lin Yan's body, together with the island, disappeared completely. A minute later, the smoke dissipated and the lake returned to calm. Keelan and the others stood in midair, watching the almost destructive explosion, their bodies trembled violently. Horror, unparalleled horror, shocked. The inexhaustible shock caused the four people in midair to open their mouths dumbly. And at this moment, they couldn't feel Lin Yan's aura at all. Lin Yan, he's dead. Keelan muttered to himself as if he had lost his soul. Yes, how could Lin Yan survive such an almost destructive explosion, no matter how strong he is? Lin Yan's death means that all of them have to die. How is it possible? Vegeta's eyes flickered, full of anger. That full death meant that all of them had to die. They looked so strong just now, but they didn't expect to be dealt with by Frieza in just a few blows. This is thrown into Saiyan's face. Vegeta thought in his heart, but he seemed to have forgotten that he, King Vegeta, couldn't even make 2 moves in front of Frieza, who suppressed his strength. Is it over? Lin Yan felt that his body sank little by little in the water, and he had no strength at all. It's almost impossible to make a fist. Eyes closed, brows furrowed. No, it's not over yet. How could I fall down so easily? How could I be defeated by Frieza? Absolutely not. The next moment, Lin Yan suddenly opened his eyes, and a sharp cold light shot out from them. He clenched his fists violently. Because at this moment, Lin Yan felt a very powerful force suddenly appear in his body. It seemed that streams of scorching energy gathered towards his back. Although I don't know where this power came from, Lin Yan, who was exhausted, felt like a new life in an instant, full of strength. At this time, you can see Lin Yan's back, a little bit of Gold's energy is constantly gathering and shining. At this time, Frieza's body was floating in midair, looking at the calm lake. Cut. It's such a boring battle. Since your wish has not been fulfilled, then disappear for me. Frieza let out a light shatter, with a look of resentment in his eyes. The only purpose of coming here by myself is to use the Dragon Ball to make myself immortal. Now that my wish can no longer be realized, there is no need for these hateful ants to exist with this useless planet. Then, Frieza raised his right hand high, and an orange energy ball condensed from his fingertips. At first it was only about the size of a ping-pong ball, but over time it has become enormous. Ho 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 ho, destroy them all. A devilish shrill laugh escaped Frieza's mouth. I saw that the energy ball on the fingertips was already the size of 2 or 3 football fields. The entire energy ball was like a huge fireball, exuding a terrifying temperature. It's over, this time it's really over. This time, Keelan and Son Gohan are completely desperate. No one will come to rescue them anymore, the whole Namek will be destroyed. Helplessness, despair, fear and other pessimistic emotions quickly spread in their hearts. Once Namek is destroyed, Piccolo, who was just transferred to the Namek Ball, will also die, and the Earth and the Dragon Ball on the Namek Ball will disappear at that time. They will never be able to resurrect. But, I, Vegeta, can't just sit around and die. Looking at the huge energy ball above Frieza's head, Vegeta clenched his fists tightly, gnashing his teeth and thinking in his heart. That energy ball can definitely blast this planet into pieces in the universe. And even if he was not killed by the explosion, he would still die in the oxygen-free universe. Piercing gun. Vegeta muttered silently in his heart, and then a ki blast appeared in his palm, blasting towards the huge energy ball above Frieza's head. Frieza seemed to have noticed Vegeta's actions long ago, and didn't take his attack seriously. Just when the piercing gun was about to attack the energy ball, another finger pointed out, and Vegeta's attack was instantly scattered. Vegeta, it seems that you are very anxious to die. If that's the case, I will help you. At the same time as Frieza's gloomy voice fell, the huge energy ball on the fingertips also came out of his hand, and fell directly into the piece of Wang Yang. The falling speed of the energy ball was not very fast. Obviously, Frieza wanted Vegeta and those nasty little ghosts to slowly enjoy the feeling of being a little closer to death and helpless and hopeless. Is this the end? Vegeta clenched his fist unwillingly, but he also knew very well that even 1,000 of them would not be able to catch that energy ball. I can only watch death approaching a little bit. Rumbling. When the energy ball was still about 100 meters away from the ground, shocking cracks instantly appeared on the entire ground due to the terrifying pressure, spreading in all directions at a very fast speed. The surrounding high mountains collapsed in an instant and were crushed into pieces of rubble. It was as if a huge whirlpool had appeared on the surface of the huge lake. The waves spread out round and round. In the end, the energy ball slowly fell to the surface of the lake, and the lake boiled instantly, and countless purple lightning bolts in the sky smashed towards the ground like a giant dragon. Wherever he went, terrifying deep ravines suddenly appeared on the ground. If you look at Namek in this Shi universe, you must see clearly visible cracks appearing on the surface of the Namek ball. A streak of scarlet light shot out from the crack. ... This time, you're dead, Frieza. Lin Yan was at the bottom of the lake and took a deep breath. He felt a terrifying force rushing through his body. Uncontrollable like a volcanic eruption. Lin Yan knew that this was the moment when he was close to death, and all the potential in his body was stimulated. Ha ha ha. The next moment, a hysterical roar came from the lake. The entire lake suddenly boiled more violently, and the cracks on the ground expanded, and then expanded. What? This is... Mr. Lin Yan's voice is kind. He is not dead. Horror. Indescribable horror. Keelan's voice trembled violently, and he couldn't speak for a long time. Then the indescribable shock turned into a heartfelt ecstasy. Mr. Lin Yan survived such a terrible explosion. And his aura seems to be even bigger. No, it is very huge, so powerful that it has filled the entire Namek. Son Gohan and Dende also showed ecstasy. Although they couldn't feel the limit of that aura, the only thing they could be sure of was that this aura had completely surpassed at least Lin Yan. Even Frieza's aura is nothing compared to this aura. Could it be that Junior Saiyan, he became the one in Legendary? Compared with the ecstasy on the faces of Keelan and others, the expression on Vegeta's face is very complicated. But more, it is unbelievable, and the stormy waves are rolling in my heart. No. Impossible, absolutely impossible. How could a Junior Saiyan become a Super Saiyan? That Legendary only appears once in 1,000 years. I am Vegeta, the majestic Saiyan Prince, an advanced genius. Even if Super Saiyan appears, it should be me, Vegeta. Vegeta shook his head in a daze. Unwillingness, a strong unwillingness appeared on Vegeta's face. He didn't want to admit it, but that aura was no longer the intensity that Saiyan of Common could possess. Chapter 31. Rumbling. And at this moment, the entire Namek ball trembled violently. Then, the entire lake instantly turned into gold, and golden lights rose into the sky. It pierced through the sky in an instant and disappeared at the end of the universe. At this moment, the huge energy ball that had already fallen to the surface of the lake and submerged 2/3 of it actually stopped falling. What? Seeing that the energy ball stopped falling, Frieza's face changed drastically, his face turned pale with fright, and he almost went crazy. How can it be? How could his own energy ball be followed? Impossible, this is simply impossible. Even if that stinky monkey regained all his physical strength and reached his peak state again, it would be absolutely impossible for him to take this blow with all his strength. And under the horrified eyes of everyone in Brother Frieza, the energy ball that had stopped falling completely started to rise little by little. Rustle. Then everyone heard a small sound. That's Mr. Lin Yan. Although they knew it was Lin Yan for a long time, Keelan, Son Gohan, Dende and others were still extremely shocked when that familiar figure slowly rose from the lake. At this time, Lin Yan seemed to have changed a lot. A golden arrogance swirled around his body, flicking wildly, and the originally black hair turned golden yellow and stood tall. The eyes are narrower and longer, the pupils have turned into a light green, and even the eyes have completely changed, unusually indifferent. It's like being a different person. If it really is that legendary Super Saiyan. Seeing Lin Yan's figure at this time, Vegeta's pupils locked tightly, his teeth were gritted, and his face was full of disbelief. Envy, jealousy, hate. A low-level Saiyan actually turned into a Super Saiyan that only appears once in 1,000 years in Legendary. Obviously I am the Saiyan Prince with the highest potential and the purest Saiyan blood, so I should be the first to become a Super Saiyan. At this moment, he felt as if he had been slapped severely, and his face was hot. Humiliation, this is definitely a huge humiliation for him. Kakarot, and the idiot in front of him, not only surpassed themselves one by one, but the person in front of him turned into Super Saiyan. The aggrieved feeling made Vegeta's body tremble uncontrollably. Russell. Gold's arrogance was raging wildly. Lin Yan didn't pay attention to Vegeta's jealous gaze, and the three of Klin who looked surprised and ecstatic. The body didn't stop until it reached the same height as Frieza. Nani. Gold's hair. When Frieza saw Lin Yan's hair turned into gold, his pupils locked tightly, and a look of fear appeared on his face. Because their ancestors once left a saying, that is, don't mess with Saiyan whose hair can turn into gold. That is what the Saiyans of Vegeta said, the super warrior who meets once in a millennium in Saiyan. Super Saiyan. This is why I can't get used to Saiyan so much from the beginning, even though they are doing things for me loyally, the main reason why I still want to destroy them in the end. It's just that he didn't expect that the legendary turned out to be real, and there really was a Saiyan who could turn into gold hair. Frieza, thank you for making you a Super Saiyan, then in return, I want your life. Lin Yan's eyes were cold, coupled with those light green pupils, it was even colder than ice, and he spoke to Frieza. If he hadn't felt the imminent death just now, he wouldn't have been able to unleash the potential in his body and become a Super Saiyan. Of course, this is only one of the reasons. More importantly, his combat power has reached 5 million, which has reached a critical point. Becoming a Super Saiyan just needs an opportunity. And Frieza's attack just now was the trigger for him to become Super Saiyan. Then, Lin Yan pushed hard with one hand, and shot out a blue ki blast from his palm, and the huge orange energy ball was directly blasted out. In the end, I don't know where it fell. Frieza's full blow did not expect to be blown away by Lin Yan so easily. But, monkey, I don't care about any Super Saiyan, I want you dead right now. Frieza growled. For the Saiyan with gold hair mentioned by his ancestors, he is indeed a little jealous. But now, his combat power is strong enough to destroy the existence of the planet in an instant. I will not be afraid of Super Saiyan. At the same time as the voice fell, Frieza's body shot directly at Lin Yan like a shell fired from a chamber. Die to me, Super Saiyan. Frieza roared and punched Lin Yan directly. Boom. The next moment, when a dull sound sounded, Lin Yan's right palm directly blocked Frieza's attack. With a calm expression on his face, he didn't pay attention to Frieza's attack at all. Ya. A sharp roar came from Frieza's mouth again, and he waved his fists like the wind. There are afterimages left around Lin Yan's body. It's just that although Frieza's speed was astonishingly fast, they were all avoided by Lin Yan. Frieza, your speed is really too slow. Lin Yan made a disdainful voice and joked. The current self, after becoming a Super Saiyan, has increased his combat power by 50 times. The original combat power of 5.5 million became 275 million in an instant, and how could it be compared to Frieza with a mere 120 million combat power? Stinky monkey, don't get carried away. Hearing Lin Yan's joking voice, Frieza's angry face became distorted. Then he punched Lin Yan's stomach again. Lin Yan turned his body slightly to the side, and then dodged Frieza's attack. Then he raised his right knee and pressed it heavily on Frieza's lower abdomen. Wow! Suddenly, a mouthful of unknown liquid vomited out of Frieza's mouth. Because of the severe pain, his face became even more distorted. Arched body, holding stomach with both hands, it is obvious that Lin Yan's knee strike just now caused a lot of damage to Frieza. Seeing Frieza bent over in pain, Lin Yan clasped his hands again, raised them above his head, and finally hit Frieza hard on the back. Boom! The terrifying attack caused Frieza's body to go down like a cannonball. Wow! Then it shot into the lake, causing huge waves of thousands of feet. Then Lin Yan looked down at the lake, squeezed out an energy ball in the palm of his right hand, and blasted it directly at the place where Frieza fell on the lake. Clatter! The energy ball exploded instantly on the surface of the lake, setting off a turbulent turmoil in an instant, and countless surrounding islands were directly submerged by the terrifying wave. Frieza's body appeared again in the line of sight of Lin Yan and others, but at this time, there were large and small scars on the body, and Purple's blood almost covered the whole body. Hoo. The original bottom of the lake turned into a huge pit. Frieza stood in the huge pit, panting heavily. It seems that just 2 attacks by Lin Yan just now caused Frieza to suffer a lot of injuries. Of course, with Frieza at 100% power, this transformation couldn't have lasted too long. Frieza seems to be injured. Klin also saw Frieza in the middle of the deep pit. Looking at Frieza, who was covered in scars and his breathing was disordered, Klin spoke excitedly. Yeah, this time Lin Yan uncle will definitely solve Frieza completely. Son Goku held his small fist, looked at Lin Yan enviously, and said, I didn't expect that after becoming a Super Saiyan, his strength would increase so terrifyingly, and I could feel that that guy didn't use his full strength at all. Vegeta looked at Lin Yan not far away with gloomy eyes, and said in a low voice. Since a subordinate Saiyan can become a Super Saiyan, then I, the majestic Saiyan Prince and the most excellent Saiyan warrior, must also be able to become a Super Saiyan. At that time, we must completely surpass that Kakarot and Lin Yan. Vegeta also knows now that it is useless to be jealous or angry now, because there is no way to catch up with them. At this time, Frieza, who was at the bottom of the huge pit, had the color of hatred in his eyes as if it was real, as if it could gushes out at any time. Stinky monkey, die to me, die. Frieza roared hysterically, pointing her fingertips at Lin Yan, and at the same time, Purple's energy ball shot towards Lin Yan like a hail of bullets. Shish, but it seemed messy, but in the end it all converged on Lin Yan. Bang bang bang. The next moment, the countless purple energy balls exploded one after another, like a firecracker. At this moment, the entire sky is covered with a purple halo. The whole sky is blooming like gorgeous fireworks. Lin Yan, why didn't he dodge? Obviously with his current strength, he should be able to easily dodge Frieza's attack. Keelan looked at the distant explosion that appeared in midair, and said in a low and puzzled tone. TCH, Frieza's level of attack is not enough for a Super Saiyan to dodge. Hearing Keelan's voice, Vegeta spoke proudly. The current Frieza is absolutely impossible to be Lin Yan's opponent, and it will be a matter of time before he is killed. Sure enough, as soon as Vegeta's voice fell, the brilliant sparks and smoke surrounding Lin Yan completely dissipated. Rustle. Lin Yan's body was still surrounded by that golden arrogance, and it seemed that nothing happened at all. No. Impossible, how could it have no effect at all? Frieza turned livid, shook her head and said. Although he knew that he couldn't kill that stinky monkey with his attack just now, but he just stood there motionless and survived all his attacks without any damage. This is too terrifying. I am the Emperor of the universe, Frieza, I don't believe that I can't kill you. Frieza gritted his teeth, and once again a huge purple energy ball condensed in his palms. This time, he almost used his full strength. The wild monkey must be killed. And at this moment, Lin Yan's body suddenly disappeared, completely out of thin air. Like you said, this boring fight should be over, Frieza. Suddenly, a faint voice sounded from behind. Frieza only felt a hot energy coming from his back, and the energy ball that had just condensed in his palm dissipated instantly. The scorching energy coming from his back made him feel a breath of death. Die, Frieza. The energy ball that Lin Yan hit on Frieza's back exploded instantly, and the terrifying impact sent Frieza flying. And at this moment, Lin Yan's center of gravity sank, his palms closed together, and a deep voice came out of his mouth. Turtle, Pi, Chi, Gong, Bo. With the last word, wave, falling, Lin Yan's condensed energy ball blasted directly towards Frieza. What? Lin Yan, how could he be Kamehameha wave? Both Keelan and Son Gohan uttered shock at the same time. This is Teacher Wu Tian's unique skill, although they basically know it. Lin Yan, a Saiyan, has never been to the Earth before except for half a month ago. And how did you learn about Kamehameha waves? When Klin and Son Gohan were puzzled, Lin Yan's Kamehameha wave directly swallowed Frieza's body. Then there was a scream of horror. In that terrifying ki blast, Frieza's body disappeared into ki blast in a straight line like smoke blown by the wind. Next, Frieza's breath completely disappeared in this universe. Frieza was wiped out. The faces of the three of Keelan showed the surprise of the rest of their lives, and they said in shock. Frieza is eliminated, which means they don't have to die. And Piccolo was also resurrected, so that Tien Shinhan, Yamcha and others can also be resurrected with the Earth's Dragon Ball, and their purpose of coming to Namek was finally realized. That's great, Heelin screamed excitedly in his heart. Finally, no need to die. The excited emotions of the few people still could not be calmed down for a long time. They really walked through the gate of hell just now. Originally, the moment Lin Yan's anger disappeared, they all thought that they must be dead. Unexpectedly, they all survived the twists and turns. But this time, it all depended on Lin Yan. Without him, they might have been killed by the Ginyu Special Forces. But, Frieza should be eliminated by me, Vegeta. Vegeta clenched his fists, thinking angrily in his heart. Unexpectedly, Frieza was killed by a subordinate Saiyan. Although she saved her life, she always felt a great humiliation. This kind of humiliation made him not have the slightest favor for Lin Yan, and he even hated him as much as that guy Kakarot. Frieza was finally eliminated. Together with all his subordinates, the entire Namek was devastated and in a mess, but fortunately it was not completely destroyed. What a blessing in misfortune. Lin Yan exhaled lightly, the gold arrogance around him dissipated little by little, Gold's hair also turned back to black, and the whole person returned to normal. However, although Frieza was killed with overwhelming strength just now, because of the Kaioken that was cast 20 times before, now the body seems to be split. My whole body is full of heart-piercing pain. The power of Kaioken is indeed terrifying. It can instantly increase a person's strength dozens of times, but the load on the person's body is also very huge. It seems that after becoming Super Saiyan, Kaioken should be used as little as possible in the future. At this time, Kling, Son Gohan, Dende and others felt that they had come together. Mr. Lin Yan, are you okay? Looking at the frowning Lin Yan, Kaylin asked with concern. Lin Yan was not only super powerful, far beyond their imagination, but also saved several of them one after another. So he fully deserves his respect. Let me help you heal. Dende also saw the condition of Lin Yan's body. After speaking, he aimed his palms at Lin Yan, and a touch of red energy entered Lin Yan's body. Not long after, Lin Yan felt the severe pain in his body completely disappear, and his physical fitness returned to its peak state. Originally, Lin Yan thought that after copying Den's healing technique, he could heal himself, but now it seems that he thought too much. The healing technique that I have mastered can only heal others, but cannot heal myself at all. So now I have to quickly copy a special constitution. A constitution that can't get hurt and is hard to kill. And Majin Buu's terrifying regenerative ability is his most satisfying choice, but the current Majin Buu should still be a long time away from appearing. Besides, I can't deal with that guy with my own strength now, so it's better not to provoke him for the time being. So I can only settle for the next best thing. Piccolo should be in Namek now. Although his regeneration ability is not as abnormal as that of Majin Buu, he can still regenerate missing arms and legs, although it may consume some energy. But something is better than nothing, and we can only find a general. Hey, that Saiyan, hurry up and tell me how to become a Super Saiyan. And just when Lin Yan was thinking about the problem, Vegeta suddenly appeared in front of Lin Yan. With an ugly face and tense body, he asked Lin Yan very ignorantly. That tone is more like an order. Because in his opinion, he is a majestic Saiyan prince, no matter how strong the other party is, it is absolutely impossible for him to bow down to a subordinate Saiyan. Obviously he was asking for advice from others, but after being told by Vegeta, his taste changed completely. Keelan and Son Gohan looked at Vegeta in surprise, and thought to themselves. Is this guy Vegeta crazy? After seeing Lin Yan's strength, he still refuses to accept his arrogant and conceited character. Isn't this intentional death? Brush. And just after Vegeta's commanding and haughty voice fell, there was a slight sound of piercing through the air. Lin Yan's body appeared in front of Vegeta at some point, and his fingertips pressed between Vegeta's eyebrows. Ant-like thing, if you dare to speak to me in such an astonishing and disgusting tone next time, I will kill you without hesitation. Lin Yan's voice was as cold as ice, and murderous intent surged in his eyes. Vegeta instantly felt enveloped by death, his back was icy cold, and the corners of his eyes twitched uncontrollably. Unexpectedly, Saiyan, a subordinate, dared to threaten himself like this. But when Vegeta looked up and saw Lin Yan's murderous gaze, he decisively shut his mouth. He fully believed that if he said one more word, that guy would kill him mercilessly. What's even more exasperating is that he has that ability. Seeing Vegeta shut his mouth obediently, Lin Yan took his hand back and ignored Vegeta. From now on, Vegeta, the 10,000-year second child in Dragon Ball, is no longer worth mentioning in his own eyes. In the following time, Vegeta was holding back his stomach full of anger, and he didn't know where he went in his universe spaceship. And Lin Yan, Keelan and others returned to the Great Elder. Unexpectedly, Piccolo was also in that place. At this time, the Great Elder had already passed away, and Neil disappeared. Of course, the Grand Elder was already dead when Namek Dragon Ball lost his power. Great Elder. After seeing the body of the Great Elder, Den burst into tears. Everyone had no choice but to leave the house. Gohan, you did a great job this time. Piccolo patted son Gohan's head dotingly and said, "It's all thanks to Lin Yan Uncle's help, otherwise we wouldn't be able to get the Dragon Ball at all, and maybe we would be killed by Frieza." Son Gohan looked at Lin Yan, and then told Piccolo truthfully excitedly. "But Piccolo, your chi seems to be much stronger than when you were on Earth. Is it true that the cultivation on the King planet is really that effective?" Keelan asked curiously. "TCH, that place." Piccolo frowned. "Over there, he caught monkeys and beat flies every day. He didn't want to do such boring things. What kind of strength can be improved?" The reason why his chi increased so quickly was because in the first half hour, Fusion had a combat-type Namek, which made him grow so much. After Fusion that Namek man, he originally thought that his strength should be able to defeat Frieza. But when he felt those two immeasurably powerful auras, he resolutely dismissed this idea. Even if he fused with that Namek person and his strength has skyrocketed, it is still impossible to be the opponent of Frieza and the Saiyan in front of him. But this matter, he didn't want to tell these people in front of him, except Gohan. Anyway, this time it was safe and sound. Piccolo was resurrected and none of us died. This is the best result. Keelan said happily. Aha! Son Gohan also nodded in agreement. The purpose of coming to Namek this time was finally fulfilled satisfactorily. But this time, it's really thanks to Mr. Lin Yan, otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to successfully get the Dragon Ball and bring you back to life. Keelan looked at Lin Yan with gratitude in his eyes. That kind of gratitude comes from the heart. Don't get me wrong, saving you is just a matter of convenience. Lin Yan looked at Keelan, and said calmly. What he said was true. The purpose of coming to Namek was mainly to copy Den's healing technique and Goldo's time pause ability. Saving the two of them is indeed a matter of convenience. However, it replicates the ability to survive in Frieza's universe, which is a pleasant surprise. Saiyan. Piccolo also glanced at Lin Yan coldly. The indifference and haughty tone is really unlikable. Vegeta is like this, so is this guy in front of him. However, after Lin Yan responded to Keelan's words coldly, he turned his head to look at Piccolo, and said, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Piccolo." Then there is the hand of friendship extended to Piccolo. Of course, this friendship hand has a purpose, otherwise he wouldn't be so bored as to shake hands with a man with a weird appearance. Piccolo hesitated for a moment, and finally stretched out his hand. Although he was very upset with this guy, after all, he did help a lot in resurrecting himself. The moment Lin Yan touched Piccolo's hand, a line of small words, blue, appeared on the retina. This time, it turned out to be some more words. Copy target. Piccolo. Reproducible skills. Magic penetration light cannon, magic flash, magic sealing wave, super power. There are also a series of miscellaneous skills. And behind the superpowers, it is actually marked. Clone technique, regeneration technique, telekinesis, creation out of thin air, etc. Copy superpowers, and magic sealing waves. Lin Yan said directly in his mind. The regeneration technique of superpowers is the most needed for the current self. Other clone techniques, such as fetching objects from the air, are not very useful. As for Piccolo's special skill, the magic light cannon, although it is powerful, it takes too long to gather energy, and it is easy to be dodged by the enemy. So he is not very interested. For the magic flash, after copying the Kamehameha wave, the similar ki blast like the magic flash is dispensable. As for Mo Fungbo, this is a divine skill. You must know that in Dragon Ball Super, Trunks, Bulma and others used the magic sealing wave to almost seal the immortal Zamasu forever. Although in the end Zamasu broke free because of a crack in the clay pot, but this did not affect the power of Meifengbo. Maybe it will come in handy in the future. After copying, Lin Yan let go of Piccolo's hand, and smiled as if the scheme had succeeded. Looking at Lin Yan's smile, Piccolo always felt uncomfortable, as if being taken advantage of by that Saiyan. Lin Yan, are you going back to Earth with us? At this time, Bulma suddenly walked up to Lin Yan, and asked Lin Yan with some expectation on his face. But what she said changed the expressions of Qilin and Son Gohan. Lin Yan's strength has reached a terrifying level, and it can be said that it is not an exaggeration to destroy the Earth in an instant. And although this guy saved them and killed Frieza, it is not confirmed that he is a friend now. After all, the shadow left by Saiyan in their hearts is hard to get rid of. Lin Yan looked at the eyes of the three, and naturally understood what they were thinking. Then he said to Bulma, "No, I have other things." He didn't care about the thoughts of the few people in front of him, but he went to the Earth now, and the strength of Son Goku and others was simply not enough for him to have the effect of sparring. And almost all their skills have been copied by themselves, and there are still 4 years before the appearance of artificial humans. During this period of time, I can just go to other planets to experience it. Go to, learn the stunts of people from other planets, such as the special abilities of the planet Delat's instant transmission. Lin Yan could clearly see that after he said the words of refusal, a look of disappointment flashed across Bulma's face. Although it is only a flash. Okay then, get to know each other once, then I wish you good luck. After the slight disappointment flashed away, Bulma had a free and easy smile on his face, and said to Lin Yan, "Well, no accident, we will meet again." Lin Yan nodded and spoke. 4 years later, when the artificial man appears, he must return to the Earth. The first is because of the need to copy the infinite energy of the artificial man, and the second is for the most beautiful goddess number 18 in Dragon Ball. Mr. Lin Yan, thank you again for saving us. Qilin and Son Gohan sincerely thank you. At the same time, I was secretly rejoicing that it would be great if Lin Yan didn't go to Earth. If he did, it would be like a ticking time bomb. Maybe it will explode at any time, and the power of the explosion can affect the survival of this Earth. After coming to the Namek Ball, they also knew how terrifying the strong people in this world really are. After going back, we must practice desperately, in order to better protect the Earth. Oh, by the way, there is one more thing to remind you. Frieza also has a father and a big brother. Both of them are not weaker than Frieza. Presumably the news of Frieza's killing will soon reach their ears. They will definitely seek revenge on you. Lin Yan didn't finish what he said next, but Qilin and the others also understood what Lin Yan meant. Afterwards, Qilin and the others, who had just recovered a little bit of relief, frowned again. Unexpectedly, such a scary guy has a father and a big brother, and his strength is even higher than that of Frieza. If they knew about Frieza's murder, they would definitely come to Earth to seek revenge. Just thinking about it, a few people felt a chill on their backs. The reason why Lin Yan told them this was not to scare them, but to make them practice harder. Especially Son Goku, who replaced him this time, killed Frieza and made him miss the chance to become Super Saiyan. I hope that when Frieza and his son return to Earth 1 year later, he can become a Super Saiyan, so that he can compete with both of them. Only in this way can we better protect the Earth. Well, there will be a Bulma later. After Lin Yan waved at Bulma, his body flashed and disappeared beside everyone. Because Lin Yan's universe spaceship landed at this place, after 3 minutes, they saw Lin Yan's universe spaceship fly directly out of Namek. Let's go back to. If Mr. Lin Yan's words are true, we must tell Goku the news as soon as possible, and at the same time practice as soon as possible, so that we won't be so helpless in the next battle. Qilin gritted his teeth and spoke. Then the 4 of them bid farewell to Dend and the other Namek people, and then flew to the Earth in the spaceship of Universe. 5 days passed quickly. At this time, Kling and Bulma have returned to Earth. At this time, Son Goku was still lying on the hospital bed, and Qilin and the others told Son Goku what happened to Namek. And emphatically emphasized the sentence Lin Yan said before parting ways. Frieza also has a father and a big brother. That guy is so strong. I didn't feel it before. After hearing Keelan and others describe Namek's battle, Son Goku felt his blood tremble in his body. There is a strong desire to fight in the eyes. Super Saiyan, I really want to fight that guy. After pursing his lips, Sun Wu whispered lightly. But it sounds like that Frieza is not an easy character to deal with, his father and big brother should be stronger. I don't know what it would be like to fight against an opponent of that level. But before that, you must seize the time to improve your strength. At this time, in universe, Lin Yan looked at the screen in front of him, which displayed the subtitle of this big one. Because the next location I set is the planet Del, it means that there is still one day before I can reach the planet Del. Finally, I can learn the instant transmission of the Sub-Dela special star. Half a day flew by again. And at this moment, Lin Yan's universe spacecraft suddenly shook violently and began to descend extremely fast. What's going on here? Lin Yan was shocked. Logically speaking, space is a vacuum zone, so there should be no advection or convection. How could the universe ship shake suddenly? But at this moment, Lin Yan suddenly saw the place next to the controller, marked with the word energy, constantly flashing red light. This kind of light seems to represent a sudden crisis. I'm out of energy. Looking at the flickering energy display, Lin Yan frowned, and couldn't help but utter a foul word. It seems that when Drive Breves modified the universe spacecraft, he also went through precise calculations. The energy is just enough to sustain the Earth to the Namek sphere and back. This is also because he himself is too careless. The spaceship universe crashed at extreme speed. Looking in the direction where the universe spacecraft landed, Lin Yan suddenly saw a light green planet. The whole body is full of potholes, and it doesn't look like an inhabited block. But when the universe spacecraft was about to fall, he suddenly felt two breaths. That's the breath of humanity. After the universe spacecraft continued to fall for 15 minutes, it finally entered the shallow green planet. After passing through the atmosphere, the spacecraft fell in a straight line at an extremely fast speed. Rumbling. 2 or 3 seconds later, the spaceship universe finally landed. After an ear-splitting buzz, the spaceship directly smashed the ground out of this giant crater. Creak. Then the hatch of the universe spacecraft was opened, and Lin Yan walked out from inside. What kind of place is this? Lin Yan frowned and looked around. What appeared in front of my eyes were strange undulating mountains that seemed to have been corroded. Gold's light shines on the earth, but it still gives people a lifeless feeling. And at this moment, suddenly a huge octopus spider appeared behind Lin Yan. There was a cruel look in his eyes, and then he spit out a sharp thorn from his mouth, and shot directly at Lin Yan. Lin Yan didn't turn his head back, and then blasted out with his backhand, and the huge octospider was blasted into a pile of debris. What a desolate planet! Lin Yan slowly rose into the air, looked at a desolate planet, and suddenly remembered that when he first traveled here, the conditions of the exiled planet seemed no better than here. Sure enough, there are 2 human breaths. Suddenly, Lin Yan felt those 2 auras again, and murmured in a low voice. When the universe spacecraft fell to this planet, he felt the breath of 2 human beings. Now it is more clear, one of the auras seems to be very strong, while the other aura seems a bit weak. About a few thousand points of combat power. Would it be like me, the same exiled Saiyan? With this kind of doubt, Lin Yan flashed his body and flew towards the place where the 2 breaths came from. 5 minutes later, Lin Yan finally saw 2 figures. At this time, the 2 were practicing in an empty field. What? Those 2 guys are indeed Saiyan. What I thought just now was just a casual remark, but I didn't expect that there were really 2 Saiyans. Looking from this direction, you can just see the backs of the 2 people. The most striking thing is the eye-catching tail, but only one of them has a tail, while the other doesn't. Tail, that is the symbol of Saiyan. One of them looked old, his beard and hair were all white, and his combat power was only a few thousand points. It can be regarded as a complete piece of garbage. And the other one was younger, naked to the upper body, revealing muscular muscles. Black's hair fell to his shoulders, and around his neck was a silver collar, and a piece of Green's fur was draped around his waist. Then, is that? The moment that young Saiyan turned his head, Lin Yan was completely shocked. Because of the face, he is very familiar with it. There is a shocking scar on the left side of the face, and there is also a cross scar on the front. Brawly. Lin Yan cried out excitedly, unexpectedly meeting Brawly on this garbage planet. Then the other old man who was sparring with him should be Brawly's father, Paragus, that's right. Judging by the appearance of the two of them, they should be the Brawly father and son in Dragon Ball Super. And just as Lin Yan's voice fell, Brawly and Paragus also noticed Lin Yan, raised their heads and looked into the air. Then he saw Lin Yan standing in midair. You, who are you? The moment he saw Lin Yan, Paragus' eyes were full of vigilance and excitement. It has been 28 years, and their father and son have been trapped on this garbage planet for a full 28 years. Here, they associate with those monsters every day. They have no delicious food, nor clean water, but only the endless hatred nestled in their hearts. For 28 years, I haven't even seen a single person. I finally saw a figure today, so I couldn't hold back my excitement. Maybe they can use the universe spaceship of the person in front of them to leave this ghostly place. Same as you, an outcast Saiyan. The tail around Lin Yan's waist loosened flexibly, swinging back and forth behind him. With a slight smile on his face, he said to Paragus. That's right, you are indeed a Saiyan. Paragus nodded, looked at the tail behind Lin Yan, and said. This tail, only Saiyan in the entire universe will have it. Brawly, that super talented Super Saiyan, a fighting genius. I don't know if I can copy his fighting talent. If I can copy it, then I'm really developed. Lin Yan cast his eyes on the vigilant Brawly, thinking secretly in his heart. Brawly in Dragon Ball Super, theatrical version, the violent form is completely capable of raging the existence of Super Saiyan God Vegeta and Son Goku. Super Saiyan's full power form, even if Son Goku and Vegeta join forces, can't take advantage of it. Even the Ultra Blue Gogeta after fighting against the fusion of the two is still capable of fighting. In a short period of time, he could raise his strength to surpass the existence of gods of destruction Beerus. If you practice well, your future is immeasurable. Even if there is no way to copy his talent, you can still have a good relationship with him. Maybe I can help myself a lot in the future. You don't have to be so nervous, I have no malicious intentions. Lin Yan looked at Paragus and Brawly, who looked vigilant and on alert, and said calmly. Then the body slowly fell to the side of the two. How did you suddenly appear on planet Wampa? Seeing that strange Saiyan appear beside them, the vigilance on Paragus' face still did not dissipate. But it looks more intense. Because he felt a very dangerous aura from this Saiyan, and he couldn't see his strength at all. Don't be so nervous. I am an exiled Saiyan just like you. The reason why I landed on the planet Wampa is because my universe spaceship ran out of energy, so I just happened to land here. Lin Yan shrugged and said truthfully. With a harmless smile on his face, he has no interest in Paragus at all. This kind of guy can kill a lot of people with a single slap. But his son Brawly, that guy has a terrifying talent for fighting. Regardless of the fact that I have become a Super Saiyan now, if I start a fight with Brawly, then I must be the one who dies, there is no doubt about it. Is that so? After hearing Lin Yan's words, a look of disappointment obviously flashed across Paragus' face. Originally, he planned to leave this ghost place on the universe spaceship of the guy in front of him. Now look at my hopes have been dashed. I don't know how long I will stay on this broken planet before I can go out. Hi, my name is Lin Yan, nice to meet you. Lin Yan no longer paid attention to the lost Paragus, but extended the hand of friendship to Brawly. Brawly frowned, still looked at Lin Yan's hand warily. On this planet, he has never seen any human beings except his father, so when he saw Lin Yan at this time, he was naturally on guard. Then he turned his gaze to Paragus, and only after Paragus nodded, Brawly stretched out his hand. My name is Brawly, Brawly said in a low voice. However, the guard against Lin Yan seems to have weakened a lot at this moment. And just when the hands of the two were tightly held together, a line of small words, blue, suddenly appeared on Lin Yan's retina. This made Lin Yan's excited body tremble, shudder suddenly. Copy target. Brawly. Copyable skills. Flying technique. Great roar. Super explosive bomb. Copyable talent. Brawly's super fighting talent and fighting potential, whether to copy. When Lin Yan saw that line of small words, blue, Lin Yan felt his breathing quicken, and his face showed ecstasy. Brawly's talent for fighting. If he copied Brawly's talent, he would be able to run amok in the 7th universe in a very short time. What Cell, Majin Buu and Zamasu, it is impossible to be my opponent. Maybe gods of destruction Beerus will no longer be an unreachable existence. Copy, immediately copy Broly's super fighting talent and fighting potential. Without hesitation, Lin Yan said excitedly in his mind. And just after Lin Yan's voice fell, a flashing red light spot appeared in front of the row of small blue characters. Behind it is written a line, "Sorry, the copy failed." Copied talents. None. Copy failed, what the hell? Lin Yan was empowered instantly like a thunder, with a confused look on his face. This has never happened before. There is such an embarrassing thing as a copy failure. It hurts me to be excited in vain just now. This feeling, instantly falling from the clouds to the abyss, made him quite uncomfortable, with a feeling of chest tightness and shortness of breath. It's as uncomfortable as eating a lump of shong. Obviously such a good talent is there, but I can't copy it. It's like a naked beauty lying on the bed, but you are wilted, withered, at a time like this. The feeling of suffocation that makes people crazy. Forget it, it seems that we still need to practice step by step, down to earth. At this time, Lin Yan could only comfort himself in this way. After all, the facts were already in front of him, no matter how upset he was, it would be useless. Afterwards, Lin Yan wanted to take his hand back with a forced smile. And at this moment, the small print of blue on the retina changed again. Whether to upgrade the strongest replication system. These words are much larger than usual, just lying there quietly. What? Your own replication system can still be upgraded. Lin Yan was confused again, this was completely unexpected. This is really a surprise. Lin Yan was shocked again, swallowed hard, and opened his mouth without hesitation. Upgrade. Maybe after this, strongest copy system, is upgraded, Broly's combat talent and potential can be copied, and it's not necessarily true. And just after Lin Yan's words fell, the big characters, blue, disappeared, and then a line of small characters, blue, appeared. The replication system has been upgraded successfully. Copy target. Broly. Copyable skills. Flying technique. Great roar, super explosive bomb. Copyable talent. Broly's super fighting talent and fighting potential. Do you want to copy? When the small words of blue appeared on Lin Yan's retina again, Lin Yan took a deep breath. Call. Shouldn't the replication fail again this time? With the lessons learned from the previous replication failure, Lin Yan turned out to be like a frightened bird this time. After all, Broly's combat talent cannot be compared with some miscellaneous garbage skills. Copy. Lin Yan gritted his teeth, and said this time very cautiously, his brows were furrowed, as if he was looking forward to the 5 million lottery. Hold your breath, waiting for the final judgment. Copy success. Copied skills. Broly's super fighting potential and fighting talent. Yes. The moment the line of small words, blue, appeared, Lin Yan cried out excitedly. That feeling is even more exciting than winning 5 million. On the other hand, Paragus and Broly looked at the ecstatic Lin Yan with doubts on their faces. I don't know what this guy is excited about. Did shaking Broly's hand make him so excited? It doesn't make sense. Aside from being excited, Lin Yan also noticed the strange gazes of Paragus and Broly. Hurry up and take back your hand. Sorry, I lost my composure. Lin Yan's excited emotions still haven't completely calmed down. He smiled at Broly and said. Broly still looked at Lin Yan suspiciously. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that this guy was weird. In the following time, Paragus brought Lin Yan to their residence, which was the dilapidated universe spaceship that had been baptized by the years. On the outside of the spacecraft, there are some octopus spider remains, some are dried, and some are freshly killed corpses. After decomposing, there are bursts of stench. Obviously, on this planet, octopus spiders are their main food. Lin Yan covered his nose and frowned. He really couldn't stay in this kind of place. I think we'd better go to my universe ship. Looking inside the messy spaceship of universe, Lin Yan suggested decisively. He really can't stay in this place. Paragus was taken aback for a moment, and then he also understood what Lin Yan meant, but he didn't refuse, and followed. 5 minutes later, the three of them appeared at the place where the Lin Yan universe spacecraft landed. Here's some food, I don't think Brawley has eaten decent food in over 20 years. After arriving inside the Universe spacecraft, Lin Yan took out a capsule and threw it on the ground. It turned into a large pile of food. This was prepared by Dr. Breves and his wife when he was about to leave the Earth. Because at that time he had already decided that after solving Frieza, he would go to other planets to see. So bring a lot of food. After all, the Earth is a gourmet kingdom called the Seventh Universe, which shows how unpalatable things from other planets are. Paragus and Brawley looked at the huge pile of food in front of them, and swallowed hard. Lin Yan could clearly see the longing in their eyes. After all, I haven't been exposed to normal food for so many years, the temptation is hard to refuse. Brawley gave Paragus a begging look, obviously seeking his approval. Looking at Brawley's beseeching gaze, Paragus nodded, saying that even he couldn't resist the all-encompassing temptations in front of him, let alone Brawley. Eat whatever you want. You're welcome, I still have a lot. Looking at the two who were almost drooling, Lin Yan said generously. He still has 7 or 8 of these capsules on his body, even the 3 of them, Saiyan, are enough for them to eat for a long time. After hearing Lin Yan's words, the 2 of them stopped being polite, and immediately turned into a mess. Eat well, Brawley, I'll start training you after eating. Seeing the 2 gobbled it up, Lin Yan said. Now I want to establish a more friendly relationship with Brawley, so that he will have a good impression of me. This is also to make early plans for the Tournament of Power, organized by Zeno in the future. At this time, when Lin Yan, Brawley and others started to practice on the planet Wampa. All the Z warriors on Earth are not idle either. After the Earth's Dragon Ball recovered, it revived Tien Shinhan and Yamcha. The 2 of them, as well as Keelan, are cultivating desperately on Guaxian Island at this time. Piccolo is also no slouch at the Temple of Heaven. After Son Goku saw Son Gohan's amazing cultivation talent, he took Son Gohan from Chi-Chi to the Spiritual Time House for cultivation. Before Frieza's father and big brother arrive on Earth, he must become that Super Saiyan. In the Spiritual Time Room, Son Gohan was sweating and said solemnly. Since Lin Yan can become Super Saiyan, then I must be able to too. And according to Keelan and Gohan, if you want to defeat Frieza, you must have the strength of Super Saiyan. To deal with Frieza's big brother father who is stronger, he must be stronger than Super Saiyan. Frieza, Lin Yan, hehe, I really look forward to fighting with you. A surging desire to fight appeared in Son Goku's eyes, he clenched his fists tightly and said to himself. Next time you see them, you must fight them well. Unknowingly, a year has slipped away quietly through the fingers. But at this time, on the planet Wampa, 2 figures stood in the air, their battle uniforms covered in tatters. They were all panting heavily, obviously exhausting a lot of physical energy. These 2 figures are Lin Yan and Brawley. But at this time, the ground is full of deep pits, devastated and riddled with holes. Come again, Brawley shouted loudly, and his body burst out, attacking Lin Yan. Although the physical consumption is quite serious, the desire to fight in his eyes is still rising like a mountain. In this year, he never fought Lin Yan, and he could feel his blood boiling. This feeling was completely absent when I was fighting with my father. Bring it on. Lin Yan also drank it in a low voice, and his body disappeared in a flash. The bodies of the 2 turned into 2 dazzling bright green rays of light, constantly entangled and collided. And every time there is a violent collision, a huge sonic circle appears in the sky, and huge deep pits appear on the ground. Bang bang bang. Accompanied by the impacts again and again, the deep voice continued to sound. Paragus looked at the 2 rays of light that were constantly intersecting and colliding in the sky, his face was full of helplessness. At first he was shocked by Lin Yan's terrifying talent, because that guy could completely compete with Brawley. Moreover, the growth of the strength of the 2 is very terrifying. Every time they fight, it is almost impossible to tell the winner. However, during this year, Brawley's strength not only skyrocketed, but he also slowly learned to control his powerful strength. Except for a few runaway states in the first few battles, there was almost no emotional loss after that. I have to say that Lin Yan is indeed a very good teacher. You 2 stop quickly, this planet will be destroyed by you if you continue to fight. Looking at the huge pits that appeared on the ground, Paragus shouted at the 2 of them. The ground of Wampa planet, I don't know how much it sank after being hit by the 2 of them. Boom. The two punched out one last time, and after each took a few steps back, they withdrew their hands with some unsatisfactory intentions. Although the two fought very well, Lin Yan never went all out from the beginning to the end. Because if the two fight with all their strength, the planet will probably be destroyed almost instantly. At that time, I will naturally be able to survive in the universe, but Brawly doesn't have that ability, so I can only wait to die at that time. After the two stopped fighting, their bodies fell slowly. Then he put one hand on Brawly's body, and all the injuries on Brawly's body healed. And the combat uniform on his body has also taken on a new look. Because after Lin Yan copied Piccolo's ability to create out of thin air, it is very easy to conjure a battle suit. Let's eat. Lin Yan patted Brawly on the shoulder and said. The food he brought had already been wiped out by the three of them during the year, and now they could only follow Brawly and Paragus to eat the big spider. But fortunately, my cooking skills are not bad. Roasting the legs of the octopus spider before eating it has a special flavor. Lin Yan gnawed on the spider leg in his hand, looking absent-minded. What's wrong with you, Master Lin Yan? What's on your mind? Looking at the absent-minded Lin Yan, Brawly asked. During this year, Lin Yan taught himself many things, how to control his strength, how to control Qi, and Ki Blast, etc. As early as half a year ago, the two of them had long been accustomed to the status of master and apprentice. Lin Yan raised his head, looked at Brawly, frowned and looked a little troubled, but then he said, I may have to leave this place. It was hard for Lin Yan to say this sentence. To be honest, when I came to this world, Brawly was my only friend who exchanged my sincerity. I also regard this stupid-looking guy as my best friend long ago. At this time, it is really difficult to say that I want to leave. After all, it's hard for the innocent, big boy, who ran away from Brawly. But it is absolutely impossible for me to stay with them for a lifetime on this desolate Wampa planet. I still have my own ambitions waiting to be realized. What, you're leaving? Brawly was taken aback for a moment, obviously a little unbelievable. He didn't expect Master to say leave. You're leaving, but your universe spaceship has no energy, so there is no way to leave here. Paragus also said in astonishment. Without the universe ship, it would be nonsense to want to get out of here. I can survive in the universe, so it's not hard for me to get out of here. Lin Yan explained. After copying Frieza's universe survivability, surviving in the universe is the same for him as on other planets. It's just that he can't teach Brawly this ability, and he can't take him out of here together. What? Are you kidding me? You're a Saiyan too, how can you survive in the universe? Paragus asked in disbelief. Saiyan doesn't have that ability, otherwise, he and Brawly would have left this place long ago. How could he stay for 30 years? Sorry Brawly, I have a lot to do so I have to get out of here. Looking at the sullen Brawly, Lin Yan also said struggling. He knew that to Brawly, he was his first human friend, and his sudden departure would cause him great pain. It's okay, Master, Ba also left me once. Brawly forced a smile from the corner of his mouth and spoke. The bar in Brawly's mouth, Lin Yan knew it was the creature of this planet, the big guy in green. And the fur around his waist is Ba's ears. He always carries. Don't be so sad, don't worry, when I go back, I will definitely come to pick you up. Lin Yan patted Brawly on the shoulder and said, in the next time, I may go to the planet Delalant, and first learn the instant transmission of the Delalian, and then I can take Brawly to leave this planet. In fact, to be honest, I am more interested in Jabit's instant transmission. After all, his instant transmission does not have the restriction of sensing Qi, but I am afraid that I have no way to get in touch with them now. As for Paragus, it was directly ignored by Lin Yan. Brawly nodded. He firmly believed in Lin Yan's words. Since he said he would come back to pick him up, he would definitely take him out of here. Okay, then I'll go first. Lin Yan removed his hand from Brawly's shoulder, stood up, and said with a smile. In fact, there is nothing to be sad about. Anyway, as long as you leave here, learn instant transmission, or find the universe spaceship, you can take them away. After finishing speaking, Lin Yan jumped straight up, and his body flew out like an arrow from the string. After a moment of effort, it has turned into a small spot of light and disappeared at the end of the Wampa planet. I don't know if that guy's words can be trusted. Paragus looked at Lin Yan, who disappeared, and muttered to himself. But he had no other choice but to pin all his hopes on Lin Yan. Master, he will definitely come back, I believe, Brawly said with a determined look on his face. Time passed day by day, half a month passed, and Lin Yan was still wandering in the universe. During these half a month, he didn't feel any breath at all. The planets I saw were also very few, and they were all barren planets where no living things existed. While Lin Yan was wandering in the universe, Kurd, Cooler, and Frieza, father and son, were already facing the direction of the Earth, aggressively suppressing the situation. Stinky monkeys, I hope you are all on Earth. In a huge universe spaceship, Frieza stood in front of the cabin window, looking at the dark space, with endless hatred rolling in his eyes, and his voice was extremely cold. At this time, Frieza, although it is the ultimate form, is covered with patches all over the body, as if it has been re-spliced. Whenever he thinks of the scene where he was killed, the anger in his body is like a raging wave, rolling endlessly. If you don't torture that guy to death, it's hard to get rid of his hatred. Frieza, don't be so nervous, it's just a few Saiyans, how could they be our father and son's opponent? And behind Frieza, a burly man sitting on a chair, whose appearance is almost the same as Frieza in the second form, shook the wine glass in his hand, and said lightly. But those stinky monkeys dared to resist their frozen demons, they were looking for death. A year ago, if they hadn't discovered that Frieza's life characteristics had disappeared, thought of Frieza's broken body in the universe, and then reborn Frieza through the latest advanced technology, they would have lost the genius of Frieza. This is a very heavy loss for the frozen demon race. For that alone, those Saiyans are absolutely killed. I'm not nervous, Dad, I just can't control my inner excitement when I think that the group of wild monkeys will be trampled to death by me in the near future. Frieza clenched his fist tightly, and Purple's lightning burst out from his body. The current self has greatly increased in strength after rebirth. Even if that wild monkey turns into Super Saiyan, I can easily strangle him to death. Thinking about their terrified appearance before they died, it is really exciting. And this scene should be able to be performed soon, how can this make him not excited? But Frieza, you are useless enough to make a wild monkey mess up like this. And Cooler, who had been standing beside Kurd, suddenly smiled lightly, and laughed lightly. It's really thrown into the face of their frozen demons. Certainly, Frieza dug her fingertips into the flesh, but didn't refute Cooler's words. It's just that the resentment in his eyes has become more intense. Anger boils in his chest. And here on Earth, 1 year has passed. Son Gohan, Kaylin and others even began to doubt whether what Lin Yan said was true. Will Frieza's father and big brother really come to Earth to seek their revenge? After all, during this year, the Earth was in a calm state, and there was no feeling that a crisis was imminent. If it's not too long, I'm afraid they will all forget about Frieza. Hey, Lin Yan lied to us. In the Kamizen house, all Z warriors of the Earth gather here except Piccolo. Maybe there's no Frieza's father or big brother or anything. After a year of peace, Keelan seemed to have forgotten the horror of Frieza. I even wondered if Lin Yan deliberately frightened them. No, I remember Lin Yan uncle's appearance at that time, it must not be a joke. At this time, Son Gohan spoke with a firm tone. Although the Earth is very peaceful now, I can feel a sense of oppression that is almost powerful. On the side, Son Goku said with a heavy tone. This feeling made him very depressed. It is definitely not groundless, maybe those people are already on their way to the Earth. But, 2 years in the gravity room, plus 3 years outside, I have no signs of becoming a Super Saiyan at all. According to his current strength, it may be very difficult to defeat Frieza's father and big brother. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.